In this video, we're going to be talking a bit about deployments. So we've already mentioned that Webiny is deployed into your AWS account. And what is interesting to point out here is that Webiny handles everything deployments related for you. So not only that means it provides you with all of the necessary tools to deploy your project, but also it defines all of the required cloud infrastructure resources that are needed for Webiny to run successfully. Internally, Webiny actually uses Pulumi to do all of these things, which is an infrastructure as code tool. And what it also enables users is to potentially change some of the configurations of the resources that Webiny deploys, and maybe even introduce new resources into the mix if need be. Deploying your project is done via the Webiny CLI, and essentially via a single command you can deploy your project into something called an environment. And you can have multiple environments. You can have maybe your development environment, your preview environment, and of course, ultimately, every project ends up with the production environment, which is the environment that gets served to real users. To fully deploy our project, we are using the yarn webiny deploy command as seen in the first example. Note that this command will deploy our project into the dev environment, which is the default one. But of course that can be changed. So in the second example, we are providing production as the name of the environment. Additionally, note that there is an option to deploy only a specific project application. So maybe we just need to deploy the website application because that's where we've introduced a change. And we don't want to deploy core API and admin apps. This can be done again with the yarn webiny deploy command. And in the first example here, we can see we are only deploying the API project application. And in the second example, we are only deploying admin. In both examples, we are using dev as the environment. So once the yarn webiny deploy command has been run, we should end up with an output similar to this. In the above section, we can see the output related to packages. So as we can see, all of the packages have been built successfully. And in the lower part, we can see the status of our deployment. We can see the deployment has been successful. It completed in 1 minute and 8 seconds. And what is important to note here is that in case of an error, the full error report will be shown to the user, which makes debugging possible. Another thing worth mentioning are deployment previews. So basically, just by appending the preview flag to the yarn webiny deploy command, we are able to preview our deployments and see what would actually happen if we were to run the deployment. And this is especially useful in CI environments where we want to ensure that maybe no resources are destroyed in the process, or maybe we just want to ensure that some of the new resources that we've introduced are actually deployed. Once we run our deployment preview, we should see something like this. As we can see, the output is highlighting the change in an asset that's about to be deployed. Now that we've seen the Webiny CLI and the Webiny deploy command in action, we should definitely say a couple of words about cloud infrastructure state files. These state files essentially contain metadata about your cloud infrastructure and are generated by Pulumi whenever you do something deployment related. It's very important you do not lose these files because Pulumi won't be able to deploy your project. In other words, you won't be able to deploy your Webiny project. When it comes to local development, these state files are kept in the .pulumi folder in your project root. But when talking about long-lived environments like production, staging, or development, the state files are usually kept in a remote storage, for example, Amazon S3 or even Pulumi service. In an upcoming video, we will take a closer look at how we can store these state files correctly.